This is Hiroshima before the bombing. Oh, and by the way, the tickets are only 200 yen, which is cheaper than any other museum or temple or shrine. They're usually anywhere from 300 to 1,000 yen. So I feel like they're definitely not trying to make a profit. Oh. And this is after. So this museum is pretty close to where the bomb dropped and took out about 145,000 people. Here you can see how it literally just ripped the roof and walls of all these buildings here. The bomb didn't actually drop like ground level, it detonated quite high in the sky. I assume these are people who might have died from it, like a schoolhouse and a teacher, and they seem very happy here. Ton of exhibits here of metal or stone items that got bent or altered from the impact of the bomb. So I just exited the Hiroshima Memorial Museum here in Hiroshima, Japan. And I do have some more to say. I know I did a video already right after I was in the museum, but I wanted to express some things I felt like I didn't add or mention in that other video. So first off, I was surprised to discover that the victims did not just include Japanese, but many other people of various countries who happened to be living there, including US prisoners of war. So a lot of prisoners of war were also killed by the bomb from the US, basically killing their own kind. But there was also German priests, there was Chinese, Koreans, Southeast Asian people, all sorts of other people. By the way, right now, the museum's right there. I just walked over here. This is the Fountain of Peace. This whole park and this whole island is now dedicated to this idea of peace and no nuclear war items. Here's the fountain. Very beautiful. I was checking this place out just a couple hours ago, and it was filled with hundreds of young kids, probably like elementary school level kids, who are probably here on a field trip. Here I am back at the Monument for Peace. The inscription literally says it's to pursue harmony and prosperity, yearning for genuine lasting world peace, and essentially to never repeat the evil of war here. So a lot to uncover. I think the final part of the museum focused on the aftermath and how a lot of these world leaders are trying to never use nuclear weapons again, but nuclear armament did proliferate and increase substantially during the Cold War, and now new countries are starting to come into it, and the future is uncertain as certain countries like Russia are withdrawing from certain treaties. So it is quite thought-provoking. They're saying that the effects of a nuclear war would basically demolish all of humanity. And that's not just an exaggeration. The US had enough nuclear weapons to clear the entire world of its population many times over. And this was back in like the 60s and 50s. And that number just skyrocketed as the Cold War started. So now we have this little fire burning for peace here. The amount of nuclear missiles did drop after the Cold War as they declared to disarm. But yeah, it's really shocking. I would say there's certainly like a little small undertone throughout the narration of the story in the museum that the bomb was unnecessary, that Japan was already on the brink of defeat, that the US wanted to justify their spending, and so on and so forth. Once again, that is debatable, but that's what I noticed there. And you really did see the shocking effects of this, and it's really quite sad in a way. Not just the personal accounts, but also the just sheer numbers, but then also the effects on the nature, the animals, and just knowing that this is just potentially just the start of something that could happen again. Although there's been efforts and treaties passed to try and stop this from happening again. There's also some things that raise some eyebrows. There's apparently with hydrogen testing done by the US and USSR afterwards, like way after this happened, they apparently harmed a lot of towns living nearby. So apparently tests done in Nevada, as well as tests done on these islands near local Japan fishery towns, caused very similar effects amongst a lot of the nearby population. Burns, headaches, vomiting, cancer, and so forth. So I just found that surprising.